Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. You are tuned in to the hottest blog on YouTube, Bigmike'sblog. I am your humble host, Big Mike. Welcome. Hope you guys are enjoying the summer. I certainly am. Didn't really enjoy it that much today because I had to go to work, and then I ran some errands and stuff. Bought a new shirt, Jimi Hendrix. Figured I'd just come home and do up a blog for you guys. So actually, this blog is coming from a suggestion from a friend of mine, actually. Um, she suggested, that I talk more a little bit about myself and what makes me tick, and basically, essentially, who is Big Mike? Because I've done about 14 blogs so far, talking about a wide array of stuff, and I think people, and one of the reasons why I decided to do this blog too is I don't want people to fully judge me or gauge me and assume that they figured me out just based off of this one blog or doing blogs. I think there's a lot more layers to me, and there's a lot more to me than just my blogs. That's just a small part of me. The blogs are more of an extension of me just expressing my opinions on issues that or things that are important to me, that matter to me. But there's more to me than that. And I guess she just wanted me to talk a little bit about my life and kind of my journey and stuff like that and what I've been through a little bit to some degree. So I decided that this is going to be more of a reflective blog, okay? Talking about me personally, Big Mike. So you guys out there who don't necessarily know me fully can get a little bit of a synopsis about me. Um, so, for starters, I was born in Toronto, actually in Scarborough, in January 16th, 1984. It was on a Monday. Obviously, it was cold. So I was born in Scarborough and spent most of my childhood more east of, sorry, Toronto. For those of you who don't know Toronto, it's more east. Um, Lived in Scarborough for a bit. Then from Scarborough, I actually moved to Kingston for a bit when I was a baby, like really young. Lived there for a bit, and then I ended up moving to New York briefly for about a year. While my mom and my dad split up. So I lived in Queens, New York for a year with my grandmother, my aunts, and my cousins and my sisters. So it was not the biggest house in the world, but it was like a bunch of us living in this house. Um, Overall, it was good. I wouldn't really remember. I remember bits and pieces, but not a bunch of it. After that, moved back to Toronto. Lived in Toronto for a bit, or actually no, we moved to Oshawa actually. Lived in Oshawa for a bit, then from Oshawa, lived in Curtis, then from Curtis to Pickering to Scarborough. Within about a 4 or 5 year period, we moved around. Actually no, 8 year period, sorry, we moved around in that period of time to like 4 different places. From Scarborough, I ended up then moving with my dad, lived with my dad for a bit. Things didn't work out with me and him living together. Um, so I ended up moving to Tennessee, stayed with my mother for 2 years. Things were good there, but then I got into some trouble here in Toronto. So then I stayed here for about another 4 years. And then 2005, I went to go live in Guyana in South America. For those of you who don't know where Guyana is, I don't know how you wouldn't know, but just in case you don't know, Guyana is in South America, just a little bit above Brazil. Okay. So I lived there for about 3 years, watching over my mother's property there. It was a great experience, probably my favorite experience, getting to live there. Made me appreciate a lot of things. It was the first time I ever lived on my own, so I had to be independent and pay bills and buy groceries for myself and clean and do laundry and all that fun stuff that most men don't know how to do or don't want to do, and I don't like doing it either, but being able to live on my own gave me that opportunity. So it was a very great experience. I got to do some acting while I was there. It was I was on a soap opera called The Tides of Life. And no, it's not on YouTube. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I checked. It's not on there, so you cannot find it at all. Thank God, because I don't want anyone to see it because it's embarrassing and terrible. Um, so I did that for a bit, and then I was on a radio soap opera called Murundoy. Basically, the organization that ran the radio soap opera, they were an organization which was basically spreading awareness about HIV and AIDS around Guyana. Because at that time in 2006, 2007, Guyana had the highest rate of HIV and AIDS cases in the Caribbean at the time. I don't know what the numbers are now, but that at the time it was the highest. So that's kind of what the premise was about the show and stuff like that. And I did that for about a year and a half. It was a great experience. Loved it. Then after that, in 2008, May 2008, moved back here, and was living in a room, making shit money at a warehouse, driving a forklift. Then from there, I met my ex. We lived together. We moved. We not moved, well. We moved in right away. Moved in after 6 months. We lived together. We were together for about 4.5 years. Got married. Divorced a few years back, like I've mentioned many a time prior. Then I moved out on my own. Well, I was actually staying at my mom's for a couple months. Then I moved out on my own, which is this place right here. Got my jobs and everything. Oh, and I went to school, obviously. Went to school. Did career and work counselor at George Brown College. Go GBC. And did that. Graduated. And then I've been working and doing all my stuff ever since. So, yeah. So that's basically my timeline of kind of where I've been and what I've done. What got me into the field ultimately, I think, was what my friend had wanted me to share with you. Look what you want to know, but I want to share with you guys. What ultimately got me into this field, what I enjoy about it is being able to help people. I've always loved helping people, What actually got me into this field actually is kind of not a funny story, but it was kind of a random story. Like, after I left my warehouse job, I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do, had no idea. All I knew is I wanted to go back to school. I just didn't know whether it was to go back to school for nursing. I was going to go to school for nursing or go to school for like counseling or social work. Had no idea. Narrowed it down because then I realized, you know what, I don't really like blood or vomit or any of that crap. So I figured, let me just go do social work. So at the time I wanted to do social work. This is around the time when it was like 2008 when like the recession hit. Everyone was like laid off. It was hard to find jobs. It was even hard to get into school. So at the time when I wanted to do social work at George Brown, there was like a waiting list. So I couldn't get in just to get into the program. So I said, screw that. So what ended up happening was I went to a career counselor, or employment advisor as they're called now. And I spoke to this girl named Mati, who's basically a godsend, who actually got me into the program. She actually was the one that got me the job at the warehouse. And she ended up telling me about this program at George Brown. It's like a year and a half, and it's a great program, and helps you get it. It's a counseling job, a counseling thing, and da-da-da. So I said, okay, that seems kind of cool. And I kind of brushed it off like, whatever. You know what I mean? When someone tells you something, like, oh, that sounds really interesting, but then you really don't care. That was kind of how I was. But then I saw her about 6 or 8 months later. She mentioned it to me again. So I'm like, you know what? Let me take Matthew up on this, and I'm actually going to go and find out about this program. So went online, researched it, was very intrigued by it. Seemed like a really good program. And then I went to the information session because in part, that's the only program at George Brown where you had to interview to get into the core program. It's not just a situation where you apply and then they accept you. You have to actually interview and apply, and then they accept you. So went to the information session. Fell in love with the program. Jillian really sold me on it, and she didn't really do like a real big sales pitch. She just basically said, if you want a diploma, just know that if you're going to be in this program, you have to work for it, because we're going to put a lot on you in a short period of time. And they did. She wasn't lying. And from then I was like, I'm sold. I was hooked. And got into the program, was nervous, scared out of my mind for the first month because I was out of my depth and I was so afraid of failing. But I ended up passing. I ended up getting, I got my diploma. It's like right up there if you can see it, GBC. So I'm very proud. That's probably hands down probably my proudest achievement so far, is being able to say that I'm a college graduate. But there's still more I want to do. And I'm very blessed right now, because right now I work at 2 shelters in the city of Toronto. Work at a youth shelter, work at a male shelter. Very different experiences, but very fun, very rewarding, very challenging. Testing my patience, my sanity, everything. But it's been rewarding. I really love it. And I love being able to see the biggest reason why I got into fields. I love seeing progression in people. I love being able to see someone when I first meet them and they're where they're at, and let's say they're not in the best place, and then to get to see them progress to do better, and they're doing better, and to see that is gratifying and rewarding. you know, and I think that's what I love about this field more or less, you know, and you can't put a price tag on that. That's very vital to me. So that's basically, you know, what I got into the field for. Just in terms of myself in general, I'm a very low key guy. Very, I can be very. I'm a, you know, like people try to say, what makes you tick? What kind of person are you? I'm a very, I don't know. I'm just a very, I'm just different, if I guess I can describe it. I'm not. I don't try to purposely be different. I'm just the way I am. Okay. I'm not. I'm flawed. I have my baggage. Not the best guy on the planet, but I try my best. You know, my ultimate goal is to be the best Michael that I can be, and I'm still a work in progress, and I'm still trying to get there. You know, I think women, particularly, if I'm going to speak freely, women get a misconception about me because, you know, I'm open and I talk about stuff like the first time I may meet them, or the, you know, that most guys probably won't discuss, and probably that's a good reason why they don't. So I think women get a bad perception about me, and they assume that I'm just, let's say I'm about, like I talk about sex, and they assume that, okay, he just wants to have sex with me. No, that's not the case at all. You know, I feel like for example, talking about sex is more like an icebreaker. It makes it easier to, like, you know, just get out the way and just whatever. And I talk about it in like a more of a joking manner, not as much to say as like I'm really want to like have sex with you tonight. Like, let's do it right now. Like, I've just met you 2 minutes ago. I want you naked in my bedroom, or in your bedroom, or in a hotel bedroom, or the bathroom sink, whatever works for you. That's not my MO by any stretch. I just, you know, I feel like in terms of rules and conversational etiquette and all that stuff, I mean, I think as long as you're not, as long as I'm not like oppressive, or I'm not talking about like I hate this type of person or I hate this type of race or anything crazy like that, I don't feel like any conversation should be off limits in terms of the first time you talk to someone. I think, however, the conversation flows, let it flow that way. And that's kind of the way I am. So I don't want people to get, you know, even with my blogs, like I talk openly and freely about that. But sometimes it's hard for me to open up to people because I feel like people are a little bit more judgmental. Not everybody, you know, that I've come across, but there's some people that are kind of judgmental, or they kind of look at me kind of funny when I say certain things. They're like, wow. Like, and the blog is a way for me to kind of just be open and just say what I need to say, put it out there, and let people say what and feel how they feel. So yeah, so that's basically Big Mike in a nutshell. Okay, so you wanted to know who Big Mike is. I gave you my timeline, told you why I love my field, and just gave you a brief whatever about who I am and what makes me tick. Okay, but there's many more layers to me, and I would love to do an hour or two long blog about me and all that, but it would take that long, and you guys would probably stop watching after 10 minutes, and rightfully so. So, on that note, this is me signing off, okay? But I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't watched my other blogs, please watch them. There's a wide array of them, from sports to fashion to you know, social issues, whatever. So feel free to please hit them up and watch them. Please comment if you want to comment on them. Any comment, good, bad, or indifferent, I don't mind. And this is me signing off. Thank you for watching. Take care. Peace. Mwah. I'm going to leave you with the quote of the day. Stay safe. Take care.